Welcome into Wise Up TV, everyone. The club rooms where we here tonight spend some time with our lovely members who have joined us here at Wise Up TV, and it's great to be here this evening. Just quickly, guys, we are on 1,950. We're 50 away from 2K subscribers. Can you please, if you are new here tonight, hit the subscribe button, help us get to 2K. And help us continue to grow our content. If you would like to become a member, you can become a reserve grade member, which gives you access tonight to focus on your comments, get your questions up, what you would like to see, what your opinion is, and other benefits as well, as plus as our first graders a package as well that gives you access to our WhatsApp group and other benefits as well. So you're more than welcome anyone to come along, but if you are not a member, no worries. You can watch us have a chat with our members, but appreciate your guys' support nonetheless. You're welcome everyone to hit that like button, please. Just quickly going to go through everyone. Our man Warriors Fair, what a win, absolutely. Tans, yes, a lot to unpack. Jazz throwing, mate. Jazz, yeah, it really got to him, didn't it? Thames, good to see you, my friend. Mr. Inspector, hey everyone, it's been stinking hot day here in Christchurch, still pretty warm. Yeah, it's pretty warm up here as well, up in the North Island as well, brother, but good to see you, my man. Was good to have no bandwagons at the game on Friday. They all will be back this week. Great point. Yeah, I saw the crowd was a little bit empty, but I knew they would be the faithful Warriors supporters. So, yeah, you imagine it'll be sold out maybe by the end of this week. Full of the neutrals and the punters, but, yeah, great to see a good home crowd on. Good, Dom. Good to see you, my friend. And the 03, absolutely. Guys, yeah, chuck in your comments, any questions you have. I'm just going to start off, give you my little review. I've watched the tape again. Those that follow me on Instagram and TikTok, I've been doing my videos, my analysis videos. What I gathered from that and my ultimate takeaway is, firstly, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and I think they came home with a renewed attitude. I think they came home and had intent to correct their mistakes, and great for Webby, especially to do against the Seagulls team, which is a good outfit. If you looked at the first probably 20 minutes, they were all over us. They could have been up by 3 tries, and we held on, and then we got that dominance, and we worked for it, and then we were able to kick on from there. But I think what they did preparation-wise was awesome, and to be able to get the team to click and figure out a strategy of how they wanted to play, different to what how they played against the Raiders in Vegas. So I'll explain that and what my thoughts are. But ultimately came back a lot more committed defensively. There's still a few patchy areas. We'll go over that. But it felt as though that the team, what I gathered from it, we saw a team performance. It took me back to like last year against the Panthers, took me back to 2023 against the Sharks. It took me back to old Warriors games where we were never maybe the best team, but when we played as a team and as a unit, we could beat anyone on our day, and that's what it felt like. And it was great to have that feeling again, especially after the negative kind of end of 2024, and then that first game against the Raiders. I feel so different now to what I felt previously. So it's great to see that. Just getting into Tarns here. Yes, I have one question. The 4 pass from Lehigh gets pulled up, but they go back to the first one. Why didn't they just call the first one? I have no idea, Tarns. I think you're talking about the Tommy Travojevic where he taps it forward onto Lehigh, and then Lehigh also passed it forward. Is that right? Yeah, there's 2 forward passes. I don't know. The forward pass rule is so mate, I can't believe you can't rule on 4 passes in this day and age. But to be honest, if you look at the NRL, there are a lot of forward passes. The game is built so much on the short ball, and if you look at a lot of short balls around the rack or short balls to back rowers, a lot of the time, if you actually break them down, they probably are slightly forward. And I think the NRL have kind of let that go and have said, we're not going to call on it. We'll leave it up to the referees. I mean, the referees we saw. Do I have to take you back to 2023 prelim where Tom Brady was playing against us? He was playing for the Brisbane Broncos. We all know about that one. But still, it's unacceptable. And I'm a big fan of technology if it's used right. I don't know why they shouldn't be called on 4 passes personally. But, for a game that's so dependent on playing over the advantage line, you'll pick up way more forward passes if they use the technology. But great question. Great question, Tans. Appreciate that. Better to get humbled early on the season. Manly just got humbled. I like that. I like that, T Mackie. I have a friend who has listened to the ref comms at matches. Sometimes the bunker does tell the ref if a pass was forward. Very interesting, T Mac. Appreciate that info. I've never heard that. That would suggest that if touchies miss it, they will go ahead and tell them. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I've never heard of that. That's quite. How would they call that in real time? Maybe they're watching it in real time and then they tip the touchies are hard. NRL touchies are the worst. They absolutely do nothing, in my opinion. Yeah, they're good for nothing. A lot of them. They never call forward passes. It's usually up to the referee to do everything, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's a really interesting one. But that's interesting, T Mackie. You should tell them to bug them to see if they're doing something shady. I always like the Johnny Tuivasa video. Johnny Rogers' brother, where he talks about where he gets sent up to the bunker and he's looking for all the possible ways not to give it to the Warriors. That's one of my favorites. That's some of my favorite content, Johnny stuff that he used to do for the Warriors. I don't think the bunker is meant to call for passes, but if it's obvious or 2 in a row, I think they let the ref know. Well, that would suggest, T-Mac, if we went back to 2023, that they let the one from Walsh go. See, they would have had a good angle to see if that was forward pass. That's where my issue, if the bunker isn't giving information or is withholding information, that would be an injustice to the game, to the reputation of the game, and would call the game into line. That's why I think it's very, very dicey. But yeah. What were your thoughts on the 2 controversial tries that Manly were awarded? Look, start with the sub try. I think when you play things in real time and the ball bounces up quite high, I think you usually don't give that one. I felt there was enough pressure, if I'm being honest. He lost control of the ball in the process of putting it down, but he barely held onto it by fingertips. So I'll give him a pass for that. The other issue I have, though, is with the other one, I did see from the angles they gave us, it looked like the foot was on the line. I'm so surprised that they didn't follow through with it. I can't remember if it went up as no try, but look, they were both disputable. Both I felt they should have gone with both no tries, but I'll probably give them one of the two, whichever one you want to choose. I thought was fair, but for both of them to be given, yeah, it probably wasn't right. But look, we won. But yeah, if you get into those situations again, you got to ask a lot of questions. But we as Warriors fans know that situation that we're in. I felt so. That call at least was rigged in my opinion. Luke Metcalf's Colts try celebration guy got me on that one. That was cool. Yeah, it was real solid, real solid. Dom saying, "What a great evening! I was there 30 years ago with my date, with my mate. Oh, with my date, with my mate and my dad, a Warriors man to the day. He died back there 30 years later with my same. He died back there 30 years later with my same mate. Thanks to Dad up there cheering on the boys. Beautiful, man. What a beautiful story. And Dom, great to hear. You know, those are the moments that we share with our family, and those that influence us in sports. You know, it's precious moments like that make it all the merrier. And I remember my dad taking me to footy games and to Warriors games as a kid, and you know, you cherish those moments. Celebrating tries, you know, all those things that it builds a long memory, and you know, it's why we continue to go and support the team, even though the team hasn't provided much joy. We still live for those moments. Like I was wishing I was at Mount Smart on Friday night because I knew what type of win that was. That was a hard, determined Warriors win, and those are the ones that make us fans proud. And so I was very proud of the team to see that, man. But thank you for sharing that, Dom. We appreciate that. And yeah, the power of, you know, fatherhood and that love for the game, and it passed down to generation, so important, man. So awesome stuff. Kurt, man, welcome back. I know, Kurt, you've been around the Traps, but welcome back to being a member, man. We're looking forward to spending you some time with us, and great to see you back in the chat as well, my bro. Hit 55, and you guys, can you please hit that like and subscribe if you're new? We're on our way to 2K, not far away from it now. Warriors Forever saying you could see the blades of grass with the chalk flicked up. Yeah, and especially when he lifted his foot. There's a part where he just lifted his foot up. That's where as he lifted it, he dragged it. He like dragged it along the white, and I was like, that's clearly out. But anyway, and Lexi, I know Lexi was there, and he's had a great weekend. It was definitely on the line. I totally agree. But I was 50-50 on Egan's one. That's probably why they gave it to him, because they stuffed up the other two. You see, I probably agree. Egan's wasn't convincing to me, but I hate these makeup calls. I don't believe in makeup calls. I believe in just getting the call right the first time. If they didn't call Egan's try and they didn't call the other two tries, I'm fine with it. But the NRL has a very much of a makeup policy. When the ref does know they've screwed up, they will always try to correct it some way. They'll give a quick penalty to the other team, and it's for me, it's so important just to get it right the first time, so there's no of these, you know, piggybacks, all that type of stuff. It does happen. It does happen, even though they might not say it. It does happen. Mackie, thoughts on Eric Clark starting? He was my MVP, dude. It was like an NFL running back out of. Again, I go back to, I don't know why Webby went with Ford in the Raiders. I know Ash's reasonings was for because size-wise, but I think really he would have matched, Aaron would have matched that physicality with the Raiders pack, and I think Webby got it right this time. He's obviously corrected that for whatever reason. But Aaron was massive. Aaron was so important, especially those runs in behind the ruck, the physicality. He really helped bump up, I feel, you know, JFH's runs, everyone else. He kind of made those filler yardage carries when everyone was a little bit flat. He picked the tempo up. No, I thought Aaron was one of my. He was definitely my man of the match, and showed his value. And again, if he stays consistent that way, I thought the game plan they came up with was really good, and he was at the center of it in many ways. So, yeah, he's an absolute unit. Thank you, Tay. Appreciate you as always, bro. The Manly fans behind me were filthy about the RTS try. Felt like it was double movement. Those ones, if they slow them down, there's double movement in a lot of the double movement tries. when you slow them down. There was a slight extension, you could probably argue. But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree or agree. Again, those types of ones. I think in those situations, you should really just be sliding and no movement. So there probably is a bit of an argument for it, but if you play it at real time, always looks different, eh? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Tan saying all momentum. Yeah, you could go both ways with it in reality. Um, yeah, that was really really nice having. I think, like I said, Clark filled a lot of the spaces and the runs that and carries that we needed. Physical too, defensively. I thought that was one of Egan's best games. I thought more than matched him physically, defensively. I just want to quickly talk on what I think really won the game and why it was so important. I think the middles deserve a lot of the praise for how that game went. They not only like made the hard, difficult runs, and they kind of went out to a one-out type style. You started to see the halves drop Capewell back inside, they dropped Marata back inside. Aaron kept going back and behind the ruck. They really focused on what they felt was a weakness was the Manly forward pack. And I think they confronted them and addressed that, and they decided that we're going to outmuscle you. We're not going to play expansive. We're not going to go wide early. We're going to outmuscle you, and you're going to have to defend, and it's how long you can last. And then the halves built off that. So I think in this case, they got it bang on the forwards. They absolutely nailed it. And then adding into the fact as well, defensively, you saw Barnett charging out of the line, like really closing and shutting off their runners. I think they forced a lot of the traffic back inside, and everyone was tied in from the markers to the A and B defenders. Either side, everyone was really locked in. When Manly started to open up, expand wide, yes, we did get stripped for numbers. I mean, they could have been up by 2 or 3 tries early. Like, let's not kid ourselves. We weren't perfect, but I think even out of yardage, we contained them quite well. There was one set, I think we pinned them in their own 30 after 5 tackles, and they had to kick long, and it fell on the 40-meter line. So it showed the intent and the actual being tied in, everyone working hard in the middle of the park. I thought that was the reason why we won the game, and I thought they were really good, man. Um, Tan saying, yeah, I thought Marata was really good. Good direct lines, ran hard, best game of. Yeah, Marata was a good one. I thought he played again. I think it was a game plan, Tans, where they kept the game plan simple. They went one out, but it worked against Manly. Like, I know a lot of people have been asking for to be a bit more expansive, but this was a game that was like Friday night with a bit of dew at Mount Smart. Let's keep it simple. Let's direct it back inside, and that suited Marata. Suited a lot of our forwards. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was just a hard fought, gritty win. That that's the type. Sometimes that's the game plan that you need to go with. It's just being hard fought and gritty. T-Mac is saying Manly were overwhelmed in the middle. Tommy and Olakwatu were getting jammed before they do anything. Yeah, and I did a little video on there. I thought our boys are really good at timing what type of run they were going to do. So, for example, that first hit up was one out from the ruck, then Barnett would or someone would jam and force that tackle inside. Then when they would reload, they might go wide, and you'd see Metcalf kind of shut off the space on the outside, or Ali Lautoa. Then they push back inside, and they'll be tightened up again. So we kind of picked off their hit up markers on the field and figured out where we needed to apply pressure. And I think, yeah, our boys, you could tell the defensive coaches and stuff, we had a good game plan, and we really contained them. Well, a really good job. It's opposite to what Manly did to the Cowboys. Like, they gave them no room. The line speed was on point, because you probably think I think they got called up for one line speed penalty, but the rest of the night they were rock solid. That's what I think anyway. So, yeah, I thought we really nailed it. We made it, super solid defensively, and the halves built off it. I got to credit to the halves. They built off it patiently. They didn't rush it. And the plays when they were on, they were on because the space had been created from the middle. How did Walker go? He wasn't that noticeable on the field, but it might have been different on TV. Yeah. I think again, this is a good way, T Mickey, of saying some game plans, it doesn't require Walker to play expansive or set up attack. I think this game plan, they clearly said, we're just going to run hard through the middle. We're going to go old school, one out. And Walker did that too. He just did hit ups, didn't do anything complicated. I don't think they were setting up shape to be expansive. I think they said game plan wise, let's break them down through the middle, because I think Paseka, Aloiai, and Jazz, that middle three with Jake, it actually just didn't work for them. They weren't actually able to physically match us, and we're a smaller pack, but we just couldn't contain us. So I think from an energy point of view, Webby must have said to them, "Hey, boys, just straight through the middle. Don't overcomplicate this. Let's break them down physically. As long as we have the position and the field position." I thought the kicking game was spot on. They got that knock on from Lehigh. There was some really good moments. Tactically, they went to Lehigh a lot to kind of shorten up the field that way. So I honestly thought the game plan suited and didn't require Walker having a massive game. I think it was just really simple, and that's why I thought it was effective. Saying in 3 Manly sets, I think they just cracked 50 meters. Yeah, 110 meters set, 220 meters set. Like, again, the line speed, I'll go back to the line speed and the intent. Everything was locked in. There was no offloads. I don't think Manly's a big offloading pack. Again, this is where maybe sometimes your game plan may get shut down from a Raiders or a bigger pack. That we'll have to get more data on that if that's true. But I think for this particular pack, we were able to nullify them. And when you nullify Manly, they start to get a bit expensive. You saw them attacking from long range. You got to try long range. You saw them make errors off of long range shifts though, and we started keying off on where they wanted to attack from. But yeah, I think we nailed the game plan and it suited us. I thought, yeah, probably that too. I mean, what I mean by Walker was, I don't think it was his best game as well, but I don't think in the game plan he was required to be very direct or involved in the offense. So I think, yeah, he probably, a mixture of him having a poor game and him not being required is probably what we saw. So that's another thing. We had 7 offloads to their 3. Yeah, the offload game. We started to get a few more offloads. I think the young boys, even Dimitri, might have got 1 offload in. I can't remember who it was, but the timing of the offloads is really important. Thank you, Tahi. Yeah. I've done some videos, guys, on Instagram. I'll need to start adding them to our page. We will start, guys, once I get a little bit more organized, we'll do some analysis videos as well for our members. So, yeah, be ready for those as well. We'll be there. Jazz getting picked on all night. Didn't help that his pops were not muscle. Yeah, and Jazz was targeted. I think that was a good game plan. They worked their middles down. They broke down Paseka. They broke down Aloiai. And Toff wasn't the greatest either. But Bullimore, I thought, didn't really match it. And we out-muscled them. And I give a lot of that credit to Fish and Barney. They were rock solid. That's another thing, was the rotations was better. Let me just quickly look at the rotations while I'm talking, just to get those numbers. I think they got the guys on and off at the right time. And that was really effective as well. So we had, what was it? Dills came on the 30-minute for Fish and Aaron Clark, same time, off. Then we did Fish on for Mitchie B at the 52-minute mark. So if Mitchie B did two interchanges, or did an interchange, and he came off at the 53rd minute. But look at Manly. I'll just quickly say they had Alloway come off at 20, Bullimore come off at 20 on for Paseka 23, because they just couldn't match us physically. We're outpumping them. Jake Simkin for Tavanga at 28.30, and he wasn't too big or couldn't really impact. So Manly did 3 interchanges early in the game to our 2 late, and they did 5 interchanges before our 3rd. So they kind of front-loaded a lot of the interchanges because of the physicality of how we were playing. So it's credit to Webby. I said Webby should have front-loaded his interchanges. I got that wrong. He knows better, obviously, but it seemed to work in this way. Chris, man, thank you for becoming a channel member. I know I've seen you around, but welcome in, my man, and good to have you as a member, and hope we get to see you around on nights like this and other ways as well. So, Tanya, Manly are a great attacking team. DC and Turbo are the reason behind it, and when you minimize their attacking moment, they kind of fall. Yeah, very good point, Tans. Um, Will saying, I don't even like Manly. Till I get frustrated was watching Paseka run like he doesn't know he's big. Ash called that one. I got to give credit to Ash. He was very clear that Paseka's hit and miss, and it showed. Paseka was just scared of him. Yeah, he's scared of his own shadow sometimes. Yeah, and that's I think the downfall of the Manly pack is that they are hit and miss, and until they get some really gritty type big men in there, I think that's always going to be a question asked of them. Sounds with a bit 50 Barney 55 minutes true warrior, right? Yeah, Barney, and he was well, and that's why I said to Ash on the post match. So I said maybe we need to look at ourselves differently and say, hey, this isn't. We don't have to copy the Panthers for everything. We can be the Warriors. You know what I mean? And if Barney can play longer minutes and JFH can't, we'll just pull JFH off and pull Aaron off early and let Barney play out. And I think that worked great. So I think Webby needs to be on the pulse of what's happening. If Barney is really struggling to contain the middle, and he has a bad first 21 game, pull him off then, sure. But if he's coasting, don't just pull him off because of and Penrith they have a double interchange with Fish and Leota. I think treat it as Barney can play longer minutes, and if he can, that's great. But really be on the pulse of what's the need is, and I think Webby nailed the interchanges. I think he could have even brought the young kids on. By the time the score blew out, I thought bring the young kids on with 30 to go and let them play out. But it is what it is. Talk enough about the Warriors. Finally took the leap. Happy to be part of the fans. What up, boys? Hey, we're happy to have you here, Chris, man. We appreciate you and all of that. Hey, 70 people in the here. We appreciate you guys coming in. Hit that like and subscribe. We're about 50 away from getting to 2K. That's huge for us. It's been a massive year and a bit since we've been doing this, me and my man Ash. So if you can help us get to 2K, that's great. If you want to become a member, we're great to have you as well. Dom's saying, after watching play and all the games this week, we are definitely good enough to make the 8. Big call there, Dom. I just need to see a bit more data. Personally, I don't want to go rash into it right now. But this is a perfect game against the Roosters where I would like to see the team repeat that same effort. What I mean by that is this performance for me was not the best attacking flair or fluency performance from the halves or from everyone. This was a gritty win from a team that probably is on paper lesser than what an Eagles is. So it reflected for me a team that on paper won't be as good as other teams, but if they have the heart and attitude and the fight and determination, they can beat. They can get some good scalps and they can beat some good teams. And they outmuscled and outworked Manly. And it wasn't through flair, it wasn't through anything like overly amazing or individual talent. I thought it was just from a team effort. So that for me, I want to see that against the Roosters. I want to see the same effort and intensity. I don't want to see a drop off. I want to see an improvement. But if we do the same against the Roosters, even if they are currently envisioned to be a low team, the Roosters, it shows me consistency, and that's when I'll start to jump on that top 8. I just don't. I can't afford to see up and down, but we'll wait and see. I think that performance for me is a stepping stone, a positive stepping stone. But good shout there. Chris saying, I think Manly thought after that first try it was going to come easy. I think so too. But we shut down the middle and forced him to go wide without earning at first, and we were 90% ready. We absolutely were. I've done a few videos on RTS and Pompey. Look, they were always going to be challenged to deal with Turbo out the back with Saab. That those two together of that speed is hard to deal with, and especially if Pompey's getting stuck on a read. His release time is slow. We know that. I would like those two to work on a few things in terms of knowing when to go, like reading different shapes. I think probably the detail was in the video analysis, looking at how teams set up their shapes and how they try to attack. then having calls to know when RTS is going to jam, when Pompey can, if RTS jams, then Pompey can recover and shoot for the wing. Or if Pompey jams, then RTS knows to either go together or to sit off. There's a few examples where it did work, but again, it's an area that needs to be looked at, especially when you're dealing with a lot of speed on the outside, creating overlaps. So there's some areas I thought that we need to work on, but overall, the middles for me just were the shining part of the field. Yeah. Team Maker saying unpopular opinion. I thought Metcalf and CHT were struggling running the offense, very clunky all night, even the RH. Yeah, again, I go back to Metcalf and CHT. Like they weren't the greatest, and it's not a negative on them. It doesn't have and it doesn't. There are games when the halves do their job, but doesn't mean they shine. I thought Metcalf, again, they kept it simple. But I think their little men, like I thought, was it the 2 tries from the wingers was just all solo efforts, a lot of it. Tane just picking out spots on the field and going between Paseka, I think it was, and Jazz, just the tired forwards we targeted. Same with RTS's try, just a tired team that couldn't defend. But the halves picked their moments too. The short ball to Leotoa was good. On the other side, CHT for his try. Again, I thought they were just a bit more patient, but definitely can improve. And again, people don't. I think people there's a lot of hype around Metcalf as Metcalf's the next SJ. I think everyone just needs to chill out a bit. And I know people will praise that performance as one of the best halves performances, but I don't think it's a bad thing that they weren't amazingly great. I think they just played within themselves. The kicking game was really good. So I think that's a positive. I think the more they keep it simple, then let things expand over time. I mean, they're not quite there yet, but they will get there if they give them time to grow into their roles. So that's my thoughts on the halves. If we play, oh yeah, Dom, you're bang on too. I mean, it could very possibly be 8. For me personally, I just want to be a bit more. I want to see. I just want to see a few more performances for help me solidify. It's for me. It's actually the middles. I need to see the middles do that same performance again against the Roosters. If they can consistently deliver, that's kind of where I'm at. Once I see that, I'm very much bought in that way. Tan saying, watch the replay, and when RTS got that beautiful flick pass from Pompey, you see Roger's eyes. He saw the gap and just took off. Yeah, and I thought Roger just that is probably how you should use him. That's how he effectively works, is cutting back on angles where defensive lines are kind of shooting over already and they're moving laterally. Roger finds the creases and finds those spaces, and he's so strong to get over the line that he can get over the line. And so I think how he's being used, and I think it's only the beginning. I think he's going to be even more effective, Rog. But my thing for him is just defensive reads. Him and Pompey at the moment are going to get caught out more often than not, unless they can sort out a few things. Yeah, Tan's solid team effort. Everyone, again, play to your strengths. You don't have to be the shining star, and no one has to. I think that's what I liked about this performance. There wasn't one person like doing everything, like how SJ was 2023, or I think everyone's doing their part. And if you do your part, you should be able to win a lot of games, I don't know about that, but what's good about is that they have to play as a team. Doing things together will help them improve a lot. Webby has said things have to be done together. Like I said it, guys, and you've heard me say this over the last couple of months. This team will require everyone to play their part. I know they leaned a lot on AFB and Sean and Tohu previously to do pretty much everything, especially Sean. But this team will need everyone. And I love the balance of the kicking between CHT and Mecca. One time, part of the game, CHT was doing a majority of the kicking. The other part of the time, Metcalf was. Like, I think they just let them find their balance together, let them work together, and then likewise, everyone else chipping in. Like, everyone will play a big part. Egan was massive, but we need everyone to chip in to compensate when times when Egan isn't doing too well. So I think this is going to be a good season to see like some team performances. And I think if we, for me, the key is actually making for this to really work. And I think we need to make Mount Smart a fortress. I know in the last couple of years we've had quite a few losses at home. I think for this team to get over the line, maybe into top 8, we need to try and really win our home games. If we can do that and get the crowd behind the team and the boys and actually like make playing at home tough again. I'm not saying it wasn't before, but make it even tougher. I think we can get home. We might be able to get into the 8 on some really hard fought wins at home. And that will be a bonus, because that's what the energy I felt watching that game on Friday was like, mate, it's great to be home and good to see the boys lift. They lifted their performance from what I felt was the crowd, the environment, being home at Mount Smart. So we got to make that a fortress. We got to make Mount Smart a fortress. So that's really what I think. Hey, Levon, my man, do you think the weekend's effort is repeatable week in, week out? We need more minutes out of the bench. Levon, bro, this is my concern. I said consistency. I want to ask Ash tomorrow night, and I'm thinking about it. Is there a point where we need to start rotating that front row earlier? And I'm not saying put Ford in again, but I'm saying, I don't want to burn out players like Barney and Fish too much. What might require is, I think that 4-pack will need freshening up throughout the year, meaning you might have to start a Dimitrik, or you might have to give more minutes to Dimitrik. You might have to give more minutes to Leka. You can't just push those guys based on their age. There's Capewell, who's probably injury prone. Maratas could be injury prone. Egan's injury prone. He had a great game, but I'm not saying he's going to play like that for 24 matches. We might have to start looking at rotation. I would rather Webby be a bit more preventative than what he has been. I know he works the players usually to the bone, and then they get injured, and then they're out for a few weeks and goes that way. If he can preempt, if he can get a few minutes through Dimitrik and the like, I would prefer that. I'd like to keep this team fresh as possible, especially the forwards. That's where I think we're going to have to be really careful, is keeping the forwards fresh. Can they do it week in, week out? I'll find out from this Roosters game. This first little period, I think we've got Roosters, then we've got two more other games, then we've got the bye. Like if that front row and 4-pack the starters at least can do that up until the bye, that will give me confidence. But being just realistic, I think that's doubtful. So I would like to rotate the squad a bit more throughout the year. Even bring in a Bunty sometimes. There's options there. We can go to them, trust them. That's how I personally review it. It's up to Webby though, but I agree, man. Is it repeatable? I think we'll find out this Friday against the Roosters if it is. Joey Johns gave Metcalf a good review. Thinks if the team plays like that they did, Metcalf will do it up a top 7. Okay. Yeah, I think Metcalf's game was good on the weekend because the 4-pack created the platform. And as long as they're doing that, that's great. Again, though, you got to give him more time. And there'll become games against good teams where he may go into his shell again because things aren't going well. So, again, I think people that are rushing to Metcalf as the next SJ, we just need to give it more time. Let him develop. And for people that are questioning Metcalf or wanted to mine, well, you saw good signs that Metcalf can do the job, so don't rush that way either. I think just sit in the middle right now until you see a bit more data. But the signs are good. I mean, there's some sets where he's dying with the ball and things aren't working well. But I think just let these guys find some time and some partnership. But yeah. Team Maker saying, does Pompey stick in this team? Rocco Berry is doing well. New South Club should return soon. I think Rocco, just be careful with Rocco. I think the other thing with Pompey is I don't think we're going to get much improvement from Pompey. I think how the boys are trained to read defensively, it's a very check and slide type system. And I just think Pompey is quite slow off that read off the back row, or if it's off the center, depending on how they view it. It's hard for him to get off it. And then RTS can't trust Pompey, and then he jams. And I've got a video coming up of on my Instagram of Tamale and Seb Chris and how they kind of partner. I think if you have two speedy center and wing options, you can actually cover a lot of ground together. And I just saw Tamale was sometimes he would drop back quicker, and he gives Seb Chris the room to recover because he knows that Seb can cover that ground if they do get caught on the outside. I think what's happening with Pompey is that RTS doesn't quite trust him, and actually RTS isn't the fastest off the mark as well, especially at his age. So that is a kind of a slow. That's a slow edge. So they will be targeted more often, and I think we have to understand that that's what's going to happen. I think Berry coming back would be massive. If Berry could actually play left center, I would actually be interested to see how he would go there. I know he's a natural right center, and would probably be right to put him um, with Tuopiki and push Leatoa. But I wonder if him at left center with Roger would be a bit better of an option, because I think Roger needs a bit more support there, and making the better reads. And maybe someone like Berry might help him. That's what I'm thinking, at least. When should Rocco come back? I think he comes back only when you're dead set sure that his shoulder and everything's fine. If that's right now, call him up. No problem. I was happy with his performances, but if it needs more time to be very sure, because he's been off such a long time, give it an extra bit of time. Was a great game, but need to play the full 80. Imagine the outcome if we can do that. That's again, it's just we just need to see a full 80 again. I just need to see that consistent pattern that the forwards can dominate the middle, or at least control the middle defensively and attack wise. That's all I'm asking for. Everything else can fall into place and give it if it's given time. So thoughts on CNK? Felt he was slow to start the game, but it seems his confidence returned by the second half. My thoughts on CNK have been more so that I think that if the forwards go well, his numbers usually go well. I think the tempo out of dummy half was good. He was right on the pulse. Didn't really see him involved in much attacking plays. Maybe that's a good thing. But he does look a little bit tired. He does look a little bit older. But I wouldn't be quick to write him off just yet. I think his tempo runs and his yardage and his voice is important. There's some really good stuff I saw. He shut down the Saab run just short of half time. So there were a few adjustments. I thought he was able to really close down a lot of some of the issues defensively at times. Not saying he didn't make mistakes as well, but I think let's not rush to call CNK. But yeah, he did start slow, T-Mackie, a little bit. But yeah, he built into the game, and I think we just want to see that impact straight away from him. I think if he has a big year from him, then I think that adds and bodes well for us, especially around our ruck and speed and tempo. So yeah, I totally agree with you, man. Hey, my man Josh, no problem, my man. Great to see you, my friend. Yeah, that's right, Tahi. Whereas Tanner and TMM also seem to be forming a good combo in Cup. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing from Tanner. I like what I see from TMM. Again, it's great. Building consistency. You never know with Metcalf, even CHT. Injuries can happen. I'm knocking on wood right now that they don't, because I'd like to see them get a good run of games to really collect some data around them as a halves pairing, and that we don't rush to change halves as much as we have. So I'm excited to see them, let them play out. But Tanner and TMM, man, if they keep clicking and playing well, like Webby said, they're knocking on the door. If Metcalf has one bad game or CHT goes off the boil, mate, then that's when you can chuck a Tanner Boyd or a Tamati in. But I think the balance right now is good. So we'll see what happens. You're sitting on the sideline, Josh. Go pick a fight with the fans. T-Mackie, CNK more than made up for his Vegas game. He really underrated, in my opinion. Yep, you definitely call that. Why we're not giving Egan a rest? I feel like he's played too many minutes if he's one concussion away. Again, yeah, Chris, I loved Egan's game. I thought he was physical defensively. I thought he was in prime form attack-wise from the ruck. Again, I've seen Egan have massive games, Rabbitohs last year, and then just fade off. So I do think we need to rotate when we, like, I would be more preemptive if I was Webby Don't run guys into the ground, especially the likes of Egan. But he's looking like he's holding himself right now. But Chris, you're not wrong. I mean, there's games where one concussion away and we're back to square one. So, but in saying that, I think Sam Healy's doing really well. I think Sam Healy's doing well in Cup. I think he just needs to be given more time to get used to the system and the flow of the calls and how they called the game. And then he might need to come in there. Welcome in, my man. I think the mid-season we have Laban starting and showing minutes with Halasima. That's a big shout. It's a big call. But again, I agree with it. I have no issue with it, actually, that those guys, we need to start bringing them in. I think Laban's been playing well in Cup, really well. So, yeah, definitely not. I don't think we should really be not looking that way. I'd like to see Bunty and Ali into rotation conversation come. Yeah. I think Webby needs to use that Cup side because that Cup side's a bit of a waste if they continue to dominate. Great if we win a New South Wales Cup, but if your first grade team is dropping off and you keep going to the same guys, the same it's not always good. I think there's some games where he will probably need to call up a Bunty, might call up a Laban or Halasima, like Josh is saying there. So Tan's saying Roosters, Tigers, bye, then Storm. Yeah, so I will give this team, this current front row and forwards, that run of games to see if they can handle the workload. I loved what I saw against Manly, but can you do that week in, week out? We're going to find out. But yeah. Mackie saying he's at the Storm game. Storm, I hate Storm. I absolutely hate the Storm. My top teams I hate: Storm, Sharks. I used to hate Dragons because they beat us every year. Like, we could never win at Cogra or at Win. I just hated that. But Sharks is Storm's my ultimate hated team. So yeah. Tim saying Tom Marley's been playing. Yeah, use these guys. They've got first grade experience. It's not like you can't use them. I know they're trying to blood in the younger guys, but use the guys that have the experience too. Tim Maker saying, I watched the New South Wales Cup game. I felt Tamaide, Bunty, Berry, Ali are ready for NRL if need be. The player most ready, Jacob Laban. Laban is knocking on the door. I know he did set his. So, Nelly's saying, yeah, it's a long season, so great to have depth. Yeah, and call them up when you need to. 8 likes, family. Thank you, everyone. Please hit that like. Try to get us a minimum of 50. If we can get to 100, we get as far as we can. Hit that like. Subscribe, guys. Yeah, we aren't far from 2K as well. So if you aren't here, if you've been spying and watching the streams, just hit that subscribe. Appreciate that. But we appreciate everyone coming in. Yeah, you know how I feel tons about the Storm. T-Mackey is moving Barnett to an edge. The option, get him away from the middle for a few games, and he can play bigger minutes from that position. No, that's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout, T-Mackey. I don't think it's too far off. I think you could probably do that. Look, he's a natural back rower too, Barnett. So I don't see why it couldn't be. Maybe just the timing of it and how it's done. Again, it'll go back to can this front row and current forward pack play consistently each week? If it can, then maybe you move Barnett at times out there and get someone to come in. But at the same time, if we're struggling, I wouldn't be rushing to put Barnett out there. If that middle 3 or 4 was it the two props, the hooker and the lock, those 4 there are so important for me that they need to be solid defensively and physical on attack. But if we can get away with moving Barnett out, bringing in the 4 or Ali or whoever, yeah, sure, I'm not far off. If we can beat the Storm, then I know we are the real deal. It's been 11 years, man. Something's got to get. Hey, we beat them pre-season. Does that count, Towns? I was counting it. Okay, guys. Any more questions? Chuck them in. What are you guys' thoughts on? I'll just quickly show this back at you guys. What's your thoughts on Agar? Got a three match game, 3-game ban. It's probably about right for choking someone. Kind of a nothing story, but at the same time, not a good look. But yeah, Agar's he's 3 matches off, $10,000 fine. I'd say that's fair. I'm not sure we'll miss him. I'm sure he'll be just doing the training sessions. Or I'm not sure how that works if he does training or if he can't go into to work for 3 weeks. But either way, I don't think it's a big deal. We move. He did hate the journey, and maybe he got what he wanted out of it. So, oh, like no doubt he'll do some ego management. I don't know if there was a Freudian slip times, but I like ego management. I like the ego. Yeah, a bit of a storm in a teacup. Totally Dom. It's a bit overblown, really. I think this is more of a PC type, trying to teach a lesson as the NRL do. Go to education. So maybe he's not allowed to go jiu-jitsu to learn how to choke people out, but he has to do the opposite. Team Mackie, thoughts on Jazz throwing water bottles at the boys after the Metcalf try? I thought it was funny, but he got put on report. Yeah, just a bit of humor. I know Jazz wasn't. He was just having a laugh, wasn't he? You know how Jazz is. Everything comes with the heart. He probably just saw those water bottles or whatever, and just he thought it'd be funny. But sometimes he's just a bit short-sighted. Jazz, you put on report. Look, you're playing for the Manly Seagulls. I know you're mates with the boys, but you got to think sometimes beyond that, and that you got to be professional. If he gets a ban, then that's his own fault. But at the end of the day, it's funny, and it's we love Jazz, and the boys were riling him up as well. So, Chris saying, yeah, it was a great win, but we are a little one-dimensional on tech with the forwards. I feel we don't seem to have any second phase footy. The was way we lost. What we lost, that's what we lost. Sorry, with AFB, something different. It is. Look, and I don't think that game plan is sustainable for 24 rounds. There are going to be games you're going to have to provide different types of attack. There are probably games you're going to have to create second phase. There's probably going to be games where you have to have very precise edge attack. So I agree with you. I thought in this specific game, yes, you can outmuscle a Manly pack. But if you come up against the Raiders or someone else who can defend, like let's say a Bulldogs who will defend for their lives, that isn't going to cut it. You're going to need precise attacking flair to break down very structured defenses like a Melbourne Storm or a Penrith Panthers. But there are teams like Manly that do have a soft underbelly, and you can break them down like that with that attack. But I agree, you can't just keep going to that well every week and expect the same results. You do have to adapt in the NRL to different teams. The best teams do it, or the best teams are so good at what they do that they force other teams to have to deal with them, which has been the case in many ways with Penrith. But those are some of the things, I think we do need to continue to develop. And that's where I think the X Factor players, the Dimitriks, the Leckers, we need more of that. So I think what it was a great team performance on Friday, but don't think we should rest on Lawrence. Think that's all we need to do. One out running from the middle, be physical with every team, and that's going to get us results. It isn't, but I like the intent of it. I like the heart of it. I felt for me as a fan watching, I love that performance in anything we've done where we've tried to be expansive and spread the ball wide and try fancy plays. That was me, just showed that the heart and core of this team was to fight for each other. That's a good base to build from. Now go and expand a little bit and change your game plan up when there's a team like a Bulldogs or a team that can defend their line, be a bit stronger defensively, or a team that's more physical, and come up with a slightly different game plan to counter-attack that team. So, but great point. Thoughts on Gordon? Chan Kum Tong trying to be bully after I don't know. The players do get triggered. The guy was probably a pain in the ass. So not all Warriors fans are perfect. I think I saw his video trying to explain that he was, he wasn't being disrespectful. A bit of banter. I think probably Gordon took it a little bit too far. You got to let the banter go sometimes. But at the end of the day, just it's a bit of a laugh, storm in a teapot, like Dom's saying. Yeah. What about Ali though putting on his hand, saying him 10 for 10 was crack up? Yeah. Again, it was just a bit of banter between those two. What was that with Gordon in the media saying Warriors fan overdo it? If I've seen Aussie fans just as passionate, bro. Like we had Aussie St George fan throwing a pie at a Canterbury fan. There's we've seen it before. So fascinating comment about the Rabbits that their fullback should stay when Latrell turn to Picky is our future. Possibly, Dom. Good shout. Good call. I tend to agree. Gray's fast as put Latrell at centre. He can do a lot. I mean, Latrell is looking really sharp and thin. I'm surprised though he's got that injury. He always has issue with his hamstrings and kind of muscular injuries. Dimitri and Liquor body-wise are maturing. They're looking good. Yeah, they are. I like them both. Okay, guys, keep bringing the questions and I'll get to them. But I'm going to quickly go for our first graders. I'm going to share now the super coach from the weekend. Congratulations to everyone that had a great week. We're going to go into the Wires Up TV ladder here. And as you can see, the Warriors, Brady is at the top right now. Cleo, 10 Tanners, Ash is third. Critical Triggers, our man Tahi at number 4. Hobby point wise, he was at the start of round 1 at the top, just slipping behind a little bit. Voodoo Crew, Charmer Jose slipping back. Oh, the Charmer Jose was at the top, I remember. He slipped back a bit. Balakay's squad, Brody, my man, is in 8th. I made it in the 9th. I mean, I went up a few. I was at the bottom, but I've gone up a little bit. Stanley in 10th. And Mr. Inspector at 11. Nice little score there, 1,200. Jazz there with a 1238. Very nice. Statue Shane, 1388. Wow, that's a big score. And Tarns with 1319. Nice. Alexia, my man, a little bit behind. Nicholas as well. Bit of a poor round. Sneak Freaks, Waiku Bush. Ian, and then Hoppers just falling behind there. But great little round there. Let's go have a look at the Warriors. Let me just see here. So he scored big on Fasua Maleawi. Taylor May, I had Taylor May. He was great for me. Horsburgh. Aaron Clark with a nice 52. Kikau with 90. Wow. Cleary with an 80. Hopewadi with decent numbers. Arthur's was big for me. I love them. Tane was a massive one. Wow. That's a good little pickup. Tane. Reese Walsh with a 9. Holy hicker. And Metcalf, that was a great little weekend there. Let me just look at Ash. I know Ash scored big with 1371 there. We'll just have a quick look at Ash's team. He did I heard he did the trick with Harry Grant as the captain, so which made Ponga technically the captain, so it would have bumped Pong up to 200 and something points. Sandon Smith was awesome. I loved him. I used him as my hooker. He was good too. I used the same front row there. Good little score there. I went with Nafahu White as my bench. Dylan Lucas, Tuponuya, and Hubner. Dylan Lucas with a Cyril Wong with 70 there. Didn't realize that. Hines and Cleary. Nice. Metcalf delivering as well with Munster on the bench. Yahoo Munster on the bench. Marju, Garrick, McLean picked up as well. And Dewey, nice. I had Dewey in my team as well. Marju was a big one. I actually would like to get me a Marju. And Yongi and a Ponga there. Just quickly look at Critical Triggers Tahi. I'm sure he won't mind me looking as he's the master there. Connor Watson, wow, what a hit out there in the hookers. For Suamalawi, that's a nice front row rotation there. McInnes, Gilbert, and Horsburgh in his back row. Nice Dylan Lucas on the 97. Beautiful Gula and McIntyre. Probably that's a good little hit out there. Cleary Trindle. Nice. Oh, Metcalf. Missed out on the reserve for Metcalf, my man Tai. A bit of a drop there. Garrick, Tuvasa Shek, Marju, and Arthurs. Look at that. Those are good numbers, eh? I mean, I've only just started, but they look good. Dewey with a 75er. Tuo Picky would have been nice with an 89. Ponga with the thing. Yongi in the flex with a 25, but still massive scoreline for the bro there, 1379. Let me just quickly look at mine. I'll just show you mine anyway, just to be a little bit of a thing. No, I felt I did all right. Sanders Smith is my hooker. May Horsburgh. I went with Nafahu White with a 56. I brought Olokoatu in for Nanai, I think, and a little bit of a flop there. Siwa hit for me, Hubner, Nathan, and Metcalf. I was dead set trying to send Metcalf away, but then Hines, nice for me there, and Dewey, hit good numbers there. I will definitely think of keeping around 96. Arthur's Garrick, Marley came through. Toya was a little bit thing, but I mean he's only young. Yongi again, just a little bit of a flop there, but Travojevic, captain. I should have captained Ponga. Look at that, 129. But let me just go to the comments there. Good to see everyone is in the chat there talking about a bit of super coach there. But yeah, good little round for everyone, and congratulations to everyone who's doing well in their super coaches. But I'm enjoying it, man. I'm having a lot of fun, so it's good to have everyone involved. Tan's already making trades. Wow, Tan's is on the ball, eh? Lexi saying my players were disappointed this week. Very low scores. I missed out on Metcalf. I didn't play him. I think this is a learning process, guys. Give guys some time, maybe. Look, I was dead set on trading Metcalf out of my whole team. But yeah. Brad, my man, if you trade good trades, had heaps of players out with buy. Cool. We're all learning, eh? So it's good bit of fun. And hopefully, you never know, man. You might blow up on 1 week. So great little fun to have with Supercoach, and sharing that time with our first graders. But congrats to everyone that had a great week. Cheers, Tay. Yep, and appreciate your support and helping everyone enjoy it. It's actually really fun. So good little chat, and also go to Ash and Brody on Wednesday and Thursday, I think, for their shows. Okay, guys, we're about to wrap up. If you got any last questions, chuck them in. Very nice, Dom. You've had a good week. That's a good sign. Enjoy your tips. I've been doing a little bit of NRL tipping just for fun too, and I got 4 right. So that's 4 out of 8, I think. So yeah, good little bit of fun. Bet sensibly. Not encouraging you guys to go crazy, but have fun. Enjoy these super coaches and fantasies and all that type of stuff. Good question here from T Mackie. If you had to make one change this week, who would you bring in? A healthy Berry would be, and I would try him on the left with Roger. I just would like to see how that would work. I'm pretty happy with how everyone's going. It's not really changing anyone, but I would love to see Lecker and Dimitri get earlier minutes. Again, I think when you come up against a more physical pack, you can't just rely on rotating 2 guys on, 2 guys off, and then bringing those guys on at the end. I think you need to hit them earlier. You might need to do 5 interchanges early instead of 2 early and then 5, 6 late. So that's probably how I would approach it, T Mackie. Yep, that's what I knew you were talking about that. So I just, I think Liquor and that would come on earlier. Look, I would go for a Laban right now over on New Cordy. I knew New Cordy had a good game. I'd like to see Laban, how he'd go in that role. That's probably one I would dead set like to look at. I'm trying to think of someone else. Right, no, now not really. Maybe a Healy on the bench if you really want to just get a look at how a 2-man hooker rotation would go. But I like the team, the balance right now. I just want to see more minutes from the young guys. If I'm being dead set honest. Okay, how many times did you watch the game? 1, 2, or 3, or more? I've watched probably 3 in total. I've watched 1 in slow mo, obviously, for content. So I got to have a good look at it. And each time I watch it, it's really good. I've watched the highlights a few times. Loved the tries from the wingers, Tane and Rogers tries. I thought they were really cool. But yeah, and Will saying it hasn't been on the replay yet. Cheers, Tay. Yep. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really. I do my one slow mo, and I get all of the information I can from that. But that was a really good game. I love the heart from it. I know, guys, it can be tough. I thought last year was tough, and sometimes felt disconnected from the club. But that was a game that just brought me in. I was like, this is what a Warriors fan feels like. This is what a Warriors game looks like when we're really together and we're united as a club. And I felt that from the boys, and I felt that from the crowd. I think Warriors Forever mentioned at the start there was 18,000 or however many there were there. I think the majority of that we know were the hearty Warriors fans. Now the bandwagons will come back this week, but I think it's important that we create that atmosphere at Mount Smart, like that we're all hearty, loyal fans, and I encourage everyone that's kind of a neutral fan that's come to watch these games to really get into the cheering, the shouting, the chants, because I just felt like that was the team that fought for the fans. I felt like that performance on Friday was like, we're going to fight. And yes, we may lack the skill, we may lack the ability, but we will fight for the fans. We will fight for this team. We will just work hard. Yes, sometimes the halves didn't look great. We look clunky, let's be honest, but we fought. And I think that's the type of heart we need to see. Everyone taking responsibility. So that's kind of where I'm at. Mackie, you bang on. That Tohu thing really set us up. I started nearly crying. Like, I really felt that was quite emotional for me, just from wow, Tohu. I know he's been so quiet that he's, he wants to fade in the background, but he was great to see him get his moment. The hongi from Barnett, there's a hearty hongi too. I was like, bro, this fella's a Māori. So it's good seeing Barnett really embrace the culture. And then Fish come in, and that photo with them three was like the passing of the guard. I thought that was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and that set the tone. Yeah, it did. Yeah, Lexi, man, it'll come up. Well, see, yeah, I'm trying to do content, guys. I know. Just quickly for people that do watch my Instagram, I mean, I used to edit a lot better and put the clips together. I've just got no time this year, and I'm just going with that raw footage style. It's probably not the best to watch and analyze, but I just finding like I'm just going to try to get more content out. Just watch a game and just you get the raw kind of idea of what I'm doing. I think it's kind of working, but it just suits me better. I'm not a good guy with editing and really being creative with it. But yeah, I'm starting to do opposition, so I will do a bit of Roosters footage sometime this week. I'll just watch their game in slow mo, and I'll just cut up a few videos and see how that goes. Just got to get an idea of what they're doing, because they had a good win against the Panthers. They must be doing something right, or the Panthers are off the boil. But yeah, I think I'll try to expand a little bit. But to be honest, I'm like, I got no time, so you're just gonna get me watching a screen pretty much. It's good. You spot something each time. Definitely a game I'll be watching in off season. Yeah, it's a good one. I always love watching our classic games. I feel that if that's going to be one of the games, that will be one of them. Matua Barnett from now, he was Matua. He's definitely a Matua of the hongi. Yeah, it was positive. It was very positive. Mita Paraneta. Paitera. No longer eligible. Yep. Yeah. It was. It was an interesting weekend of footy, but fun. I enjoyed. I watched most. I tried to watch most of the games, but I catch a lot of the highlights, and it was really cool. Um, okay, guys, we'll leave it there. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you as well. We appreciate Kurt dropping in, becoming a member, and Chris as well. Not sure, Chris, if you're there, just let me know what level you're at, and Kurt as well. But we usually have our chat for first graders, and I can send you that link if you are a first grader. If you are a first grader, it's already on the community page. So go to the YouTube posts, and you'll find the link there. It'll be up for first graders. If not, all good. Happy to have you as reserve graders, but let me know if that's your thing. Um, but anyway, guys, yes, save some more talk for tomorrow night. We'll have Ash in as well. What I am going to do though is I know it's a bit early, but Fanatics is doing a show tonight at 10, I think it is, New Zealand time. Cool, Chris. Okay. If you go to the community page, you'll see the WhatsApp link. If you struggle with that, email me at wiresuptv@gmail.com. I can send you the link that way. But if you find it there and add request to join, I'll add you into our chat. It's got a little group. We do a bit of super coach. We do a lot of all good, Chris. No problem, man. But for those that are first graders, if you haven't joined already, there's the link in the community tab. But all good, Chris. We're happy to have you here on these nights and to answer any of your questions as well. You see, Alexi, have a good night, man. And but yeah, anyone coming tomorrow night, 8 p.m. as well, New Zealand time. Teamless Tuesday. It's going to be interesting. I think it'll be the same teamless, but it's just going to be cool to see. We'll do a combined 17 with Ash again, and it'll be good to see how we match up. Maybe we see our players in a bit more positive light, and maybe we get a few more numbers than what we had against Manly. But it's always good to chat and see how the teams match up. If there's any more news coming out of Warriors HQ, we get that as well. So, yep, see you guys tomorrow night. Good chatting with you. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Help us get to that 2K. We're not far from it, and I appreciate you guys' time and effort to hang out with me tonight. But stay safe, everyone. Up the Wazoi. Have a good night, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.